Oh no, say it ain't so. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to, because guess what? It's so. Layoffs at Marvel. Yeah. Who could have seen it coming? This is that business that throws credence to the old saying. Well, we'll say fool around. Yeah, fool around and find out. Well, this is the find out part. So here we are once again at Cosmic Book News. Layoffs at Marvel follow MCU reduction. Yeah. So, hey, let's read, is it Matt McCloyne doing? Sometimes he's got it. Yeah, it's Matt McCloyne's article. With Marvel Studios only releasing one movie this year, and with it confirmed, the MCU is going through a reduction. It's learned layoffs have happened at the company. According to the trades, Marvel Studios has laid off 15 lower-level production and development employees at Marvel Studios in Burbank, as well as employees at its Marvel Entertainment division in New York. Lower-level production and development. Now, some of these are probably useless to begin with, but others, I don't know. Was it really their fault, or are they just, being thrown under the bus to save someone who's really deserving of it? That's usually how that goes, but not much you can do about it. It's no secret Marvel has been suffering since the release of Avengers Endgame and hasn't had a billion-dollar blockbuster amid a string of failures. Well, there was Spider-Man, and yeah, that was it. Recently saw the release of The Marvels, which massively boomed. So much so, it's the worst performing MC movie and superhero movie of all time. It was pretty bad. It stunk. But was it the worst? Performance-wise, yes. But, boy, I tell you, that Love and Thunder, which could have worked, but wasn't allowed to. And plus, yeah, never mind. It was crap. Anyway, Tatiana Maslany was also asked about a She-Hulk season number 2, where she said they blew the budget with the first season, and Disney said no thanks to a second season. Yeah. They sure did. They should have read the scripts and said, oh my God, we're spending how much on this? There you go. There you go. A lot of people say this was peak Marvel. I can understand that. Back in the summer of last year, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed they would be slowing down the release of both Marvel and Star Wars. How do you slow down releases of Star Wars when there haven't been any releases? Does this mean there's no more Star Wars at all? Well, I could understand that. Anyway, Iger recently addressed the pullback recently in Disney's February earnings call. So, the first step that we've taken is that we've reduced volume. We've reduced output, particularly at Marvel. When you fix or when you address these issues within movies, you do 3 things. You get aggressive at making sure the films you're making can be even better. Massive reshoots, which haven't really worked up to now, but they'll keep trying. Sometimes you kill projects. Whoa. You don't believe in, and of course you put new things in the pipeline that you do believe in, that you have much more confidence in. And we're doing all of that. Well, considering what you believe in, Iger, no. Quite a few things should be canceled, Agatha. I think that's going to happen. I don't know about Ironheart, but odds are, yeah. Blade. Now, Blade, with the constant troubles and whatnot, they should probably scrap it just on that alone. But you released Echo. I know you'd already shot it, so you had to. And I think that's the case with Agatha, so they'll just dump it on DP. But he keeps believing in DP, even though it's an obvious failure. So, that's odd. Yeah, what are they canceling? I don't know. Maybe it was stuff they never announced. I don't know. Anyway, the Marvel shows on DP also haven't done all that well, as the ratings aren't the best. Only Loki has multiple seasons. Yeah, 2. And then that was it. The X-Men 97 ratings also look to be on par or lower than Ms. Marvel. Jeez. The least watched live-action series along with Echo. Now, Echo was crap. Ms. Marvel is probably their best live-action show. With, I guess, Hawkeye being a distant second. Didn't really like it, but for what it was, it was competent. But the X-Men 97, I think I'm caught up on that one. And I was never a big X-Men animated series fan. I was more into the Spider-Man cartoon. Of course, the Batman animated series blew all that away. But nevertheless, I like the X-Men all right. And this follow-up seems to be, it's best to my ability to remember, in line with that series. As far as Morph being gay, yeah, he certainly is. He seems quite flaming to me. But Wolverine, he seems to have a thing for Wolverine and all that. And I saw the shower scene. There's a shower scene. I was like, oh my God. Then when I saw it, I'm like, not really. It was an hallucination and stuff. And Wolverine himself is still very much in love with Jean Grey. So, and I suppose that Morph could turn into Jean Grey, even though there's now 2 Jean Greys in the story. Sorry, spoilers. But something along those lines. But it's looking like, what's his name, Mateo or whatever, the showrunner that got fired, apparently because of his OnlyFans porn. But the real story might have been that he wouldn't budge. And he said, all right, we'll make Morph gay or non-binary. Yeah, sure. He'll make him gay. And then that's it. And they go, no, they wanted a little more than that. But this is the guy who spoke out about The Witcher and, gave support to Henry Cavill on that, about they weren't respecting source material. So for all his lefty stuff and his gay porn, the guy seems dedicated to source material, which probably explains why the show is not that bad. But the problem is, once you announced before the show was released that Morph's going to be non-binary and all that sort of stuff, and they're like, oh my God, it's supposed to be in 1997, but you get a whiff of anything woke, and that's it. People bow out. So you're probably more than half your potential audience never showed up for that alone. And looking at the episodes, was that a fair reaction? No, it wasn't, but that's how you market it. And the woke era has irradiated the landscape of entertainment, along with other landscapes, but certainly entertainment. And so the slightest whiff of wokeness, and a lot of people are done right then and there. Better learn that lesson. Anyway, following the huge failure of Secret Invasion, oh boy, God. I mean, Ms. Marvel is Shakespeare compared to that. It's terrible. Marvel Studios has reworked its television division. So whatever they got already shot, they'll dump it, like Echo and probably Agatha. And then they're going to slash a bunch of other stuff. And I don't know what comes next. But they still believe in DP for some reason, so I guess they'll put something on there. Anyway, the problems at Marvel are nothing new, as Daredevil Born Again is also getting retooled. Oh, no. Poor Daredevil's going to have a hard time sitting down. All the upcoming MCU movies have also been in flux with multiple directors, writers, release date changes, and reshoots, which, of course, just increases the amount of money burned on that when they're unlikely to deliver, because the Marvel brand is enormously stained. So At the CinemaCon, they announced their upcoming titles. Of course, Daredevil and Wolverine, the only one this year. But next year, you got Captain America 4, Brave New World. And then Thunderbolts. Oh, boy, Thunderbolts. Well, they've changed the title. This font is terrible. But they've added an asterisk. So maybe it won't be called Thunderbolts. And they might rename it something else. But Feige says, we'll talk about the asterisk. We won't talk about the asterisk until after release, which I think would probably be a clue leading up to Secret Wars and that sort of thing. But I think, didn't he talk? Yeah, McCloyne weighs in on it, saying some fans still think something is up with the title, and Marvel might be going with Dark Avengers, which was a great series. That was a lot of fun. Probably the last thing Bendis did that was fun, but it was one of those things that couldn't last. So he explains it, which in the comics were a team of Avengers made up of villains from the Thunderbolts, formed by Norman Osborn as the Dark Avengers. So, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus will take Norman Osborn's place here, which they've been teasing through the DP shows and whatnot. Perhaps that's how they'll do it. None of the setup for Dark Avengers is there. Not the least of which is that they haven't set up any villains of any interest to form this team. I mean, Bucky's not really a villain. He was misunderstood and whatnot. Same thing with U.S. Agent here, who was the only interesting thing about Winter and the Falcon Soldier. I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Taskmaster, boy, did they destroy that. So who cares? But was a villain. Red Guardian. Well, now that everyone's mad at Russia again, I guess you can say he's a villain now. Ghost, who was originally a man and was one of the few of these who was actually on the Thunderbolts team. Black Widow #2. Yeah, she kind of was a villain off and on in the comic book version. Here, not really. And they kind of resolved her story in the Hawkeye series, but I guess Elaine's going to put her on the team. So, you know, you get that. But that's not Thunderbolts at all. The Thunderbolts story that is not the Dark Avengers story. Granted, Thunderbolts became Marvel's ripoff of Suicide Squad, but originally there was this cool story that Kurt Busiek did where the Avengers were supposedly dead and they had no super teams. And so all of a sudden this new superhero team showed up, the Thunderbolts, and they became very popular and everything. But it turns out they were all supervillains who had just changed their outfits, masks, and names. And the original actual leader of the group was Baron Zemo and stuff like that. And that was a cool run of what they did. But there again, it's a one and done story. But here again, they have not really established the villains substantially enough to garner any interest in a team like that. And they're just skipping over oceans of detail to get there. So this version of Dark Avengers, which is probably what they'll be called, which if that's part of the plot here, you would think that they would want Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers to come out before Captain America 4, because apparently it's been leaked that in the plot, Thunderbolt Ross asks Captain Falcon to reform the Avengers and says he was wrong about that, you know, back during Civil War when they wanted to regulate them, whatever, it ended up breaking up the Avengers and stuff like that. Well, it would seem like, oh, there was this other team that messes up in this movie, and then you come to Captain America making a new team, probably with the only survivor of that movie being Black Widow, and she joins the new Avengers, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, it's just abandoning all the cool elements of the original stories and source material. Not the least of which, you're never going to get a Norman Osborn in this. I guess you just have to go with, you know, the old Norman Osborn from the old movie who showed up in Spider-Man No Way Home. So that's it. That's all you get. So it's unfortunate, but that's where they are. So the odds that this would be of any interest whatsoever, very slim. It's just, at best, they can slap together some cool action movie, and maybe it can be that. But, yeah, remain dubious. So, anyway, there you go. Thunderbolts and going lean and mean because they were mean to their brand and laughed at everybody who said, hey, you better not do that. Well, again, they fooled around, and now they're finding out.